The Pokemon franchise is best known amongst gamers as a portable Nintendo console series. The DS, the Game Boy, the 3DS, the Nintendo Switch, kind of. There have been a few attempts at creating console experiences with the Pokemon franchise, but it's never a real Pokemon game. There was always something quirkier involved with the gameplay or the mechanics. Like go all the way back to the Nintendo 64. There's Pokemon Snap, which involved taking photos of the Pokemon that you were growing to know and love in your Pokemon games on the Game Boy. You got Pokemon Puzzle League, which is one of the best Pokemon spin-offs ever made and fully deserves its own video. But also is kind of just Tetris Attack. Basically Tetris Attack with an Pokemon anime skin. And then there were the 3 Pokemon Stadium games, the first of which only released in Japan, with 48 playable Pokemon, which is why it only released in Japan. Pocket Monster Stadium is what that one's called. And then Pokemon Stadium, the one that released in America that had all 151 Pokemon from the first game. And then Pokemon Stadium 2, which added Johto Pokemon. Pokemon Stadium is the closest thing there was to a mainline Pokemon game on consoles, and kind of is the closest thing we ever get to mainline games on consoles. You choose your Pokemon, you battle your friends, or you travel through gym towers to battle with the team that you've created. You don't really catch the Pokemon, you don't train the Pokemon, you get the Pokemon. But that's okay. Then, you're probably wondering, oh, but you left out an important thing. You left out an important game. There are Pokemon games on consoles. There are real Pokemon games on consoles. Okay, well, let's fast forward to 2004. The GameCube has been out for 3 years. 2001, 2, 3, 4. 3 years. The closest thing to Pokemon on the GameCube in general were the 4 playable Pokemon in Super Smash Bros. Melee. Pichu, Jigglypuff, Pikachu, Mewtwo. All from Gen 1 and 2. Ruby and Sapphire are just coming out. There's a lot of new Pokemon, and people are wanting more Pokemon. They want more Pokemon everywhere. They don't just want Pokemon Pinball. They don't just want Pokemon Trading Card Game. They want something to put on their consoles. They want to sit down with their GameCube controllers, and they want to say, let me game, let me Pokemon this shit. So then we get Pokemon Colosseum. See that? That's the new legendaries. Whoa, selling point. Pokemon Colosseum is one of the few RPG Pokemon games on a home console. It is technically the spiritual successor to the Pokemon Stadium series, but not really. It has its own story entirely, and it's focused on a story, and the gameplay is a lot more similar to the mainline series. You catch Pokemon, you level up the Pokemon, you train the Pokemon, you fight Sephiroth. The biggest difference was that instead of catching them all being the tagline, it was gotta save them all. Which already, you got some intrigue. It actually, on the back of the box, it'll be backwards, you can't really see it. Gotta save them all. Important stuff. Pokemon Colosseum starts you out in just the middle of the action. You see a character who you later learn is you. You are this person, and they are breaking into something, and they steal a big robot arm. They've stolen a robot arm. You now have a robot arm. And then they blow up the place they stole it from, driving away with their Espeon and their Umbreon. These are your starter Pokemon. They are level 25. Your starter Pokemon are fully evolved and level 25, and a Dark and a Psychic type. That's crazy. That's some crazy shit. But that's not where it ends. You get through the battle tutorials, you get through all of that, and you meet this group of two, this duo, and they're carrying a big burlap sack, and this burlap sack has a woman in it. She's being kidnapped. There's a kidnapping in a Pokemon game. The first thing that happens is a person is kidnapped. That is the first thing that happens in this Pokemon game. You blow up a secret base, you steal a robot arm, you go to a drag bar in the desert, and then you watch a woman get kidnapped and try to save her. Then, immediately after unkidnapping her, nap kidding, once you get her out of the burlap sack, you immediately run into Sephiroth, who is one of the bad guys, but kind of not really, but kind of is. It kind of depends. And then you meet the best character in Pokemon, Mirror B, and just there's a lot going on. A lot is happening. Everything is being thrown at you. There's shadow Pokemon. There's multiple evil teams. There's no direction on where to go, really. There's like one offhand comment maybe from each character, and the rest of it is kind of just figure it out, which is awesome, but the movement kind of sucks. Walking around is not exactly fun. It plays like an old Final Fantasy game in the movement style, and your character walks real rigid like, and it's not cool. It's not very epic. So you figure out all of this stuff about dark Pokemon, shadow Pokemon, how their heart is locked off from their body, and so they become fighting machines. You learn that this kidnapped girl also has like Lucario aura powers, like the cutscene in Super Smash Bros. Brawl with Snake and Meta Knight. That exactly. And she can see their auras, the shadow Pokemon's auras. And she's like, that's a shadow Pokemon, you know what we gotta do. And so you and her, you throw on your ski masks and you say, time to steal some freaking Pokemon. And so you steal their Pokemon, and all in the name of purifying them. But like, you get to the next town and there's just a bunch of dudes who aren't necessarily bad guys, that you're just taking their shadow Pokemon because they happen to have shadow Pokemon. It's a little messed up, I think. So you fight 4 bosses. That's the main thing. There's 4 bosses in Team Snag'em and Team Cypher. Team Cypher and Team Snag'em aren't the same, but they have interlapping pieces. And there's a giant tower that they're building, and Mirror B is there, and he's the it's like one of the best Pokemon songs ever made. And he's taking over towns, so you fight him. You have to go through like gym challenges, but not really. They're all for the sake of saving Pokemon. There's a shrine to Celebi, and that's how you purify the Pokemon. The shadow Pokemon only know one attack, and they're the only Pokemon you can catch, and they are impossible to train. They're so hard to train. You get your Pokemon at level 25. You catch your first shadow Pokemon, which is one of the first evolutions of the Johto starter trio. So there's Bayleaf, Belava, Crocodile. When I did it, I chose Bayleaf, not because I like Bayleaf, but because I ran into Bayleaf first and didn't know I had a choice. I caught Bayleaf. I have now beaten the game, and Bayleaf did not evolve, and Bayleaf only knows Shadow Rush, because every time I send in Bayleaf, who is like level 25, I think I got her, like, you can't level them up. They're shadow. They're locked by shadows. What are you supposed to do? Well, obviously you're supposed to train them, but the training is really annoying, and the battles are they're all double battles, which makes it sound easier, and this is exactly why they're all double battles. You send in your Espeon, you say use confusion 20 times, and my Bayleaf will just watch. But my Bayleaf never learned any attacks. I got rid of like 3 bars off of her shadows and nothing. Whereas like my Slugma, I got rid of 1 bar and it learned Ember or Flamethrower or something like that. And I ended up purifying it and evolving it to Magcargo. So I have no idea why some of the shadow Pokemon decided to work and some didn't, and I think it might completely be user error. No clue though. I have no idea. Weirdness aside, it's a pretty fun game. Sometimes. And if you can get your hands on it or somehow play it on a Dolphin, I highly recommend it. It'll change you and your perception of the world and your perception of Pokemon. It'll change a lot. It also has the best song in Pokemon, Mirror B's theme. It has a lot of great music. It has the best animations in the Pokemon game. If they made a sequel with better animations, better battle system, better characters, better story, that would be insane. That'd be crazy. If there was like a sequel to the game. There was a really long time where I thought these were the same game, actually. I thought Pokemon XD and Pokemon Colosseum were the same game. So, I'm a fake fan.